Can be hard when you grow up. People fill you with doubt. You start thinking about what you're gonna do now. And it's do or die, gotta make it count. So lose your worries, let your problems go on until my whole body burns out. I ain't never gonna slow down. I ain't never gonna slow down.
Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about performance, but with the aspect of breath. Now, breath is something we automatically do every single day. If you are not taking a breath, you're probably not alive and you're probably not listening to this episode. But you are taking a breath and you are here with us today because we are going to be learning just how powerful that breath is, because that breath can give you life. But just because it gives you life, it doesn't mean you're going to make a life full of meaning. Many people, we are going to be struggling with the aspect of what we do each and every day. Most people, they want happiness, they want growth, they want potential in their life, but yet they don't know the tools and the methods and the habits they need to create in order for that to become a reality for themselves. We struggle with this. What would happen if we took a look at our breath? What would happen if we decided to become more understanding when it comes to our mindset and what is truly capable of? We become more successful. We perform better. In a sense, we are not performing optimally currently because we don't know how powerful our breath can be. They say that the breath, especially like if you do some type of or many types of martial arts, they focus on the breath. Even when boxing, right? You are going to exhale every single time you punch. If you do some type of jujitsu, right? Control your breathing, right? They say breathe in through your nose, not through your mouth. And if you really have to, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, because it creates more power for us. The circulation, the blood flow, everything that happens begins with the breath. And you might want to look at the skill aspect your whole life. Oh, I got to work on this skill. I got to become proficient at this. But have you taken some time to sit down and realize your breath? Are they deep? Are they shallow? Are they meaningful? And in today's episode, we're going to find some more meaning in our breath, and we're going to learn the tools that can help you maximize your potential each and every day. And we're going to be doing it with a breath and performance coach, Taylor Somerville. He's going to be helping us understand his work and how he helps people through the process of finding their breath and finding the potential to help with their performance. So here's the interview. Welcome, Taylor Somerville, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Of course. Today we're going to be talking about your work. You are a breath and performance coach, and we're going to be figuring out exactly what that is, because when it comes to performance coaching, everything is different. But then when we focus on our breath, it becomes more different, because we can think of more of meditation. We can think of learning to get rid of stress and anxiety. There's many aspects to breath. But in your own words, tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help.
Yeah, my name's Taylor Somerville. Through my company Symmetry, we help high-achieving, busy people take back control of their lives. They have more time, more energy, and less stress. And we use the breath really foundation for that. I spent 15 years of my life in a different career in the investment business, a very high stress, a lot of anxiety. I was on the trading floor for the last 11 years of that before I started what I'm doing now, and really found the tools that I use with my clients. Breathing, been throwing people in saunas and cold plunges for 5-6 years now before I really got out there and used those along with some other modalities as a way to change their mindset, improve their habits. So that's the gist of what we do.
So at the 15-year mark, when you were getting into maybe a new mindset, a new idea of what you wanted to go on the rest of the journey of life, starting a business, what was that conversation that you were having with yourself? Was it one that you were stressed, anxious, or that you were just not fulfilled doing investing anymore?
So it was a little bit of all that. Before I made the jump to quit, I'd gone through a divorce probably like 3 years prior to that. And that kind of flipped my world upside down to some extent. You have then the distress of the markets, the difficulty there. And all of that together really just had me doing a lot of inner work and searching. And that's where I found the breath as a great way to kind of dive into kind of what's going on with yourself, and realize that I didn't want to just be sitting around getting up at 4 a.m., sitting in front of 4 computer screens all day long for the rest of my life. I went out to an experience with this group called XBT, which was started by big wave surfer Laird Hamilton and his wife, Gabby Reese, and went to this experience, a lot of high performing people from pro athletes to professionals all over the world, and was like, well, there's this community out here doing things. There's more to life than what I'm doing. And I ended up quitting my job 6 months later.
And that's always the story, it seems like, when it comes to someone who finally realizes that there's something else out there than what they're currently doing. It's like they have this eye-opening experience, like, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. And it's like an epiphany moment almost, where it's just like, hey, I have to make some changes. Some people make it, some people they stay in the security blanket that they have created for themselves because they have invested, no pun intended, so much time in a career where they say, well, what's the point in me changing fields, changing my path right now because I have already come this far? But you are a testament to that. Like you can go 15 years in a career, come out and be successful. But then we get into the aspect of your work, right? The breadth and the performance aspect. Why choose that more so than other fields like relationship coaching and other niches? Why was it breadth and performance coaching for you?
It had such an impact on me. For one, it was as I went down the rabbit hole and very analytical, like to do a lot of research. Also liked the kind of science aspect. Started diving into all this stuff and realized, well, all right, we have this tool inside of us. Everybody's got it. I sure wasn't taught how to use it my whole life, but cultures have been teaching this stuff, using these methods for thousands of years. Then it started getting more research. Things started happening there on the front. Basically, every major research institution is doing some type of work on the breath now and stress, anxiety, and just overall health and performance. So really understanding, all right, this is a keystone kind of habit. When we look at performance, we look at breath. This is the top thing. It's the only thing that's automatic in our body, and it's also under our controls. First thing we do, it's the last thing we do. It's really a tool that we all have, as I mentioned, to change our mental and physical state. And knowing that and then starting to use that and incorporate it in my own life, being like, wow, this is just really powerful. I can go from being a super stressed out, maybe a little trouble with anger, easy to fly off the handle, stuff still deal with today, but now have much better tools to handle that and realize, all right, I can change my state. And the more I practice this, the better I can perform in chaos, because life is chaos, and it's learning how to kind of ride the waves of life and kind of move up and down instead of having them kind of push you around into emotional reactions, and learning how to somewhat break that emotional reaction function and respond instead of react in situations. So from doing that, and then really using things like the cold as a great way to control, put yourself in a difficult environment, and learning how to come out of stressful situations. As I started doing that with myself, with others, found that it was just a very powerful and a great way to begin the conversation with yourself on, right, what are these unconscious habits that I'm just running through life doing? How are they controlling my life? Where can I create some conscious objectives around them? Understand what's first going on, and then all right, now let's start to shift those patterns. And that's a lot what we do with our clients and our group programs and our one-on-one coaching.
You talked about saunas and cold plunges and cold baths early on. And when you're in a sauna, when you're in a cold bath, you're taking a cold shower, something happens to the body. It starts to panic. It's like, oh my God, like it's like a shock. It's like, get out of here. It's like a fight or flight type of mentality. But one of the things that happen is our breath becomes more shallow. It's like, okay, now it feels like we're not getting enough air. When we are getting enough air, we panic. And that fear that we feel is just maybe all the stress that we have within us finally coming out, and it becomes almost unbearable. And many people, they want to run from it. And we have gotten so used to fear. We have gotten so used to stress. We have gotten so used to anxiety where Many people don't notice it until it comes into the form of a doctor's note, where the doctor says, hey, you have this heart problem, you have diabetes, you're overweight, whatever it be. We don't pay attention so readily, and we suffer for it as people. Our performance suffers. I want to talk about the benefits of using tools like saunas, cold baths, and then the power of coaching that comes beyond that.
Yeah, that is a great way to put it. Because it's not that stress is good or bad. Stress just is. And when it becomes bad is when it becomes that chronic aspect that we don't really understand that it's happening to us. And it's in that chronic state. Our body's releasing stress hormones all the time. We're sending our body in that stress state, taxing our heart, increasing blood pressure, things like diabetes. Those are all issues down the line of stress, chronic stress after years and years. But if you can put yourself in acute stressful situations and then learn how to bring yourself down out of it, that's really how we adapt and grow. You can think about it from hard workouts, things like immunizations, little stressors in our life when we create small little stresses. We push ourselves slightly out of our comfort zone. We learn, all right, this is manageable. I can go a little bit further. I can go a little bit further. And when you get into the ice, the first time you get somebody in the ice, go down, dunk under, come up. Typically, it's a complete panic breath, rapid in and out of the chest. We're really big on focusing, all right, get your breath under control. Once you get your breath under control, take a few big, powerful breaths, maybe in through the mouth, out of the mouth, and in through the nose, out of the mouth. Then we focus on slowing it down, slowly in the nose, slower out of the mouth. Once you start doing that, typically people start to calm down. Your body's like, all right, I'm not dying. Everything's okay. Blood will start rushing into your core, things will start slowing down, and you just get into a much calmer state at that point. And I tell people when they first do it, it's not about staying in for any amount of time necessarily, but it's about staying in longer than what you want to. And if you want to jump out, just give me 3 more breaths. Then see how you feel. If you still, all right, rationally want to get out, and you bring that rational frontal lobe onto the decision making instead of just that reactionary function that kind of lizard brain causing the limbic system causing you to freak out, then okay, we'll get out, we'll warm you up, and we'll try again. And most people can typically make it through. And even if they don't the first time, we can do through 3 rounds and they'll end up being great by the end of it. And then you feel really freaking amazing when you get done with an ice bath. It's one of those things that go through cold and sauna, get a great big dopamine flush that hits you and lasts pretty much all afternoon, sleep like a baby that night. And it's one of those things that actually becomes addictive to some extent after you start doing it.
We were talking about resilience a lot in the podcast these past couple of weeks, and I remember a video. It was a father and a son. They had did a ice bath thing. I don't know if it was a challenge or if they were just doing it for health benefits. I think it was for health benefits. And the father was just trying to coach the son, saying, hey, you can do it, you can do it. But the young man, he was panicking. He was just like, I got to get out, I got to get out, I got to get out. And eventually he got out because he was just giving himself that notion of, I have to run, I have to run, I have to run. When you're working with individuals through this process, right? The coaching process is so powerful because a coach is going to be able to help an individual go further. As you said, let's take 3 more breaths. But it's more than that, I believe, because you're telling yourself something, you're limiting yourself, this limiting belief that you're giving yourself that you have to run, but we're okay. We're here right now. We can get through this together. And I find that to be the most powerful thing in coaching, because if you have a coach that's there, that's holding you accountable, that's there along for the journey, that makes it a bit more, the word I want to say is approachable for the individual, the client, because they feel like I'm not doing this alone. The most challenging things a person can do is if they say, okay, I'm going to go in this ice bath and I'm going to do this challenge, or I'm going to do this method or technique or whatever you want to consider it. I'm going to do it by myself. You have to fight your brain. Your brain is going to be giving you all of these signals, and most of the time the brain is going to make sure you are safe. But safe doesn't necessarily mean healthy. Safe doesn't necessarily mean happy. It just means homeostasis, complacent comfort. And it's the same thing in the gym. When you're in the gym, you start to feel pain. Oh, I'm feeling a little tired now. We run. And this is something that we're not taught in schools. This is not something that we're taught in life. Some people learn the aspect, but most people don't. How do you help people learn the aspect of pushing themselves through the good pain?
That's a great way to put it. And I'll add, it's not just in those areas, but it's also in all other areas of life. When you start doing it through things like, a hard workout or getting up and doing a cold shower or, learning how to control your state through that, then when things in life, maybe it's taking that interview for the job or giving that presentation or having that difficult conversation with your wife or husband or kids, then you're able to show up in those events is what it's really all about, showing up for those events in life. When coaching people through it, we're showing them how to use the breath, how to kind of control yourself through that. We also look at like, all right, how are you breathing every day? And kind of look at things outside of that situation. It's important, but we also really like to incorporate groups. So especially in the saunas and cold plunges, we're doing it in groups. So there's people who've been coming all the time, who've been there, they've done that, they've been on that other side. So it's not necessarily just me as the coach. There's participants as well. You have a kind of a group accountability and bonding experience that can also help you go through it. You see these other people have done it and know, all right, I'm this close. I can just go a little bit further. I can push myself a little bit harder. It's just like if you go to the gym and it's in a group fitness class, you're probably going to push yourself a little bit harder than you would if you were just by yourself. We really love that group accountability aspect, and not only the heat and ice, but also we do different types of workouts with things in the pool as well. But we also just have dual group coaching programs, and you see a lot of the group together really bonding and helping each other through hard times, because even as coaches, we go through that too. We have to figure out, all right, I might know all these tools, but sometimes I don't use them right. And it's good to have people that you can kind of fall back with and work on and have other people to help you along that process. It's very hard to do things in life by yourself. Humans are tribal people. We were meant to be in groups. Public speaking is like the biggest fear because you feel like I'm going to get ostracized from the group. Probably the bigger fear than death for most people, because when you were ostracized, you were going to die anyway. So it didn't really matter. And that's why we fear things like that. And so when you can come together in groups, really like in a smaller group, you can do a lot more than you think you could.
And for individuals who want to experience this, go survival camping. And survival camping, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go into the forest without provisions. I mean, you can go with a tent, with food and things along those lines, but you're going to learn very quickly how much work is necessary for you to make it through the night. You have to get firewood. You have to build your tent, your shelter, whatever you're going to be doing. You have to set up the chairs, whatever it be. This was something I did after college. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go into the forest with, just me and my dog. I'm gonna go on a 2-week road trip around New England. And it was very difficult for me to do it all by myself because if you have a buddy, if you have a friend, my dog wasn't helping out. It's a lot more challenging because I had to cook my own food. I had to set up tent every single night because I was always moving, and I had to go get my own firewood in the forest, like dead trees and make kindling. It was excruciating. Like it's just like, man, this is exhausting. And after the 2 weeks, when I finally went back home, I slept. I don't know how long, but it felt so good that I was able to do that because I challenged myself. And many people, they won't have those challenges in their life. But when you have a mentor, a coach, they help push you, or just people around, they help push you, as you said, with those group fitness classes, because performance is going to be an accumulation of all the people that are around you. Or if you're given a circumstance that you have no choice but to come out. And if you are given a circumstance where you have no other option but to fight and make your way through, you will. But many people in our world today, we have an option to succeed greatly or to live a complacent life. And this is the aspect of performance because people get to choose. Do they want to be a high performer or do they just want to be someone who kind of goes through the mundane aspects of life? And these techniques that we have been talking about help you become more focused when it comes to performance. Because if you take a cold bath, for some reason, I know what happens in the brain and the body, but you start to focus more. It's just like, okay, this is cold. And it's just like all the things you were worried about, your bills and your anxiety, all of that's gone. You're worried about this cold water and you're like trying to breathe. That moment right there, it makes you feel alive again. And right there, you can take that moment and you can do something. But what most people will do, even if they did a sauna or they did a ice bath, you know what they would do after? They'll just go on their smartphone and they'll just reset themselves. What are some things that people should do when they are in that peak mindset of resilience and that peak mindset of performance, that they have finally found their breath and now they are in control of their body once more? What are things that people should do to get ahead?
I like that. And one of the things you mentioned, though, is kind of that comfortable. And I will say that people stay trapped in a comfortable misery for a lot longer than they need to because they are afraid of making change. But when you're going through those things, some easy things you can do is, for one, look at, all right, what are you doing throughout your life? Are you jumping in your phone, like you mentioned, first thing in the morning? That's never a good subject. Go outside, look at the sun. After you get done with something like this, engage with the people around you, talk to them. Everybody doesn't need to be looking at their phone when we're in a group. When you have other people around you, engage and be present with those people. When you go home, put the phone away and spend time with your family. Maybe love to have like no phones at dinner, things like that, where you're actually present with the people around you. And that also is going to help you to be more focused at work and doing the things that you got to do. Because if you're constantly switching between tasks, constantly looking at your phone, checking your email, you're never really going to get anything done at work. And you're not going to be able to perform at your best in those areas either. You're not going to be able to do the deep work, the things that are really going to help you be the best that you could be. You're just going to kind of meander through some tasks all day long. And maybe you check off a to-do list, but you're not really getting anything done of any importance. And so I think, as you mentioned, you get really focused when you get into the ice and things like that. And so you can kind of learn, for one, you're learning how you react, how you respond, different stressors that set you off. And then you can kind of take that into your everyday life as well.
All of this is important to know. And the conversation is so much more than just, okay, taking a sauna or doing Bikram or taking a cold shower, because these are just tools to help with the process. Because it could take years, years for you to finally get control of your mind. I forget how long it took me exactly. I think it was something like 2 or 3 years. It took me quite a bit of time for me to really get control of my mind, because we think sometimes like, okay, I'm just going to do this or I'm just going to do enough. To push yourself and to challenge yourself is a whole nother ball game. It separates you from so many other individuals. When someone says, well, what makes you different? Well, I already been through it. I've been through the gauntlet and I'm not afraid to go through it again. Many people, they feel the pain. They say, I don't want to experience that again. I don't want to do that hardship again. David Goggins is a great example of that type of mindset. He does something very difficult. And most people say, oh, I don't want to do that again. But he craves it because he understands that if he runs away from it, then he's allowing weakness in his life. And performance for him, the way he was able to perform so much more readily, and the world can see that performance, is because he didn't let moments of opportunity slip by. If he had an opportunity to run 8 miles, 10 miles, whatever it be, he would. And even if he didn't want to, he ran more because he was like, just for having this mindset of not wanting to do it, you're going to get punished or something. He doesn't use punish, but he's going to prove to himself that the mind is the enemy. And often times the mind is going to be the aspect that stops a lot of people from truly performing to their full capabilities. When we look at your training and how you help people, what are some things they can expect to happen to their mind and in their life?
Well, the big one is, all right, when we're working with people, for one, a lot of them think that, you got to make all these different changes. We're really big about making small little shifts in your life that will be a big impact. So for one, it's learning not to be as overwhelmed, understand that, all right, I can actually do this. It's here. I can make change. I can begin to build new habits, whether, maybe you haven't gone to the gym in a long time. It's starting to do that. Maybe it is, all right, I don't want to yell at my kids when I get home. It is, all right, how can I control myself throughout the day? So we work on making small little shifts throughout the day. And we use the breath as that kind of way to bring you back to base zero, to that home base. So we tell people to like really check in as you're going on, as you make transitions through your day, whether you're going from to the office, in between meetings. That's a time to check in and notice, all right, am I feeling a little stressed out, a little agitated? Let's just bring myself down. Let me get control of my breath, breathe a little slower, maybe make sure I'm breathing diaphragmatically a little lower. And instead of just either holding my breath or just rapidly breathing in and out of the mouth, and using that time to kind of calm down. Driving, I'm in Memphis, a lot of bad drivers can easily get road rage. Not a good idea. Instead of getting all freaked out at somebody who cuts you off, hey, it's okay. Realize they might be going through something that you don't know what they're going through. Just come back to your breath and calm down. So really kind of use that breath as an anchor to bring you back to a more stable state, and learn I need to get up for those stressful, difficult situations. And then I need to bring myself down because I need to make sure I'm resting and recovering as well. There's a lot of people we work with, high achieving, busy professionals, don't always like to turn it off, but making sure, one of the best things we can do for our life is make sure we're getting enough sleep. So making sure they're using that and kind of reframing our mindset on things like that, not thinking that, I'll sleep when I'm dead, but if I'm not getting the proper sleep, I'm not going to be able to show up at work or anything I'm doing physically or for my family as well. And I'm just going to impair my health as I get older.
And all those aspects are going to be crucial. As you said, it creates stability. And if you think about building an empire on a shaky or a slanted foundation, guess what? You're not going to be able to build high. You're going to build to a certain point, and everything that you have built is going to start to crumble. Things are going to start to tilt. And that's what happens in life sometimes. Sometimes life can go sideways. And it's because we're just not giving ourselves the tools, the methods, and the daily habits to help us along the way. And the conversation that we had today is just a starting point for people to realize that there's tools that they can utilize to help them progress in life, to help them progress toward higher performance in their day. But before we go, I want you to share with us any final words, and then I want you to tell the audience where they can find you.
Yeah, I just want, for one, all the audience, you can do more than you really think you can in life. And you have the tools inside of you. Most of us weren't taught these tools. Doesn't take too much to learn, but it's also, as Michael mentioned, you've been doing something for your whole life. It's not going to change overnight. It takes time. It's not, and it's a continual process. It's really a lifelong process. I think being a lifelong learner and curious and always trying to work and improve yourself is something good to be doing, and not get stuck in that comfortable misery. And, I want you to just thank you for having me here. And there will be a link in the show notes. SymmetrySyndicate.com is the best place to find me, or you can find on Instagram at symmetry.live.
Perfect. And I will definitely make sure that link is there so people can easily follow you on Instagram. Check out the work that you're doing, because this is going to be the new tool when it comes to mindset, the new tool when it comes to helping people perform better. We have been in an outdated education system for quite some time, and the new methods for education are going to be personal development, self-help, coaches like yourself, Taylor, who are going to be helping people figure out, all right, how do I elevate to the next step? Because as you said, we are tribal people. We can't do this alone. So find the person that's the best fit for you. Thank you so much, Taylor Somerville, for coming on, talking about your work, and helping the world. All right, everyone, I'd like to thank you so much for watching that interview with Taylor Somerville and myself. What went on in that interview is we talked about many different aspects of the breath. One of my favorite movies, favorite books, is not a book I recommend enough, is called The Peaceful Warrior. For some people, they don't necessarily like reading. Well, watch the movie, right? I think you can rent the movie, maybe even watch it free on YouTube. The Peaceful Warrior is an older movie now. It's not as 4K quality as you might be used to on Netflix or Hulu or whatever. This is going to be an opportunity for you to understand what the mind can go through and how the mind can win. And in the movie, there was a moment where one of the mentors to the guy who was going through some struggles and some challenges, and he wanted to change his mindset, he said to slow it down, to start to pay attention to everything that's going around, take out the trash. And what happens when you put yourself in a sauna, I did Bikram for about 3 years, I believe. Some days I didn't want to go, but when I went, I always felt better. And the reason why I didn't want to go was, number one, the pain. It's very hot in the room, and then you're doing all these poses. But then the aspect of pushing through that heat and getting on the other side. I always felt better when I went rather than if I just stayed in bed. Because the moments when I stayed in bed, I felt worse. Not because of only my mindset, but because my body was craving something and I wasn't giving it what it wanted. It wanted comfort, but it needed to go to Bikram. So I had to figure out what I truly needed. When that happened, I started to focus more in my life. I said, I can be doing so much more because I'm over here trying not to do things. What is the process for me to get there? You can take a cold bath, and I love taking cold showers, especially in the summer, but not only in the summer, because it gives you that aspect of, well, if you only do it when it's comfortable or when it's convenient, will you do the hard things when it's uncomfortable and inconvenient? You have to do it when you don't feel like it. We challenge ourselves, right? We have the aspect of tools. We have the aspect of growth. Always forefront, as I said early on, but many people, we don't take it. Many people, they might start something. They get a gym membership. They start a habit of going into sauna after the gym every single day. But then, oh, I'm too busy today. Oh, I got to go watch the game. Oh, I got to go do this. And we forget that those 15 minutes can be the most productive 15 minutes that are going to help us throughout the day. Even Tony Robbins says 2 to 3 days a week, 15 minutes in the sauna. It's going to change your life. You can do a morning cold plunge. You can do a morning cold shower or an evening cold shower. It could have the same effect, but Tony had realized that just those 15 minutes 3 times a week was enough to change someone's life. And you have to ask yourself, if this tool is so powerful, why are more people not doing it? Because if something is good and popular and trending and everyone has it, or everyone wants it, think of like Apple, right? They come out with these new goggles, or they come out with this new phone or a new laptop or iPad, and everyone wants it because that's easy. It's easy to just spend some money and get something. It's more difficult to do the work. Yet we earn the money, yet we don't necessarily see that our earning might be challenging. We only see the potential for it, right? Oh, this is going to make me happy. This is going to make me satisfied. We are going to spend for that. But yet we won't spend moments of our day to make us better. We won't spend moments in our life to get our mindset and our breath on track. We live off kilter most of the time. We are not in full alignment. But yet, we can shift the stress that we are feeling. Now, stress is not overly bad or all bad. Stress can be a good thing because it can challenge us, and that challenge makes us more resilient. It makes us stronger. It makes us more adverse to pain and challenge and difficulty. If we are faced with a hard problem, we find a solution versus saying, well, why me? Or, oh, well, this is what performance truly can bring, the opportunity. Because that is all what we have. We all have an opportunity every single day to wake up and to make changes in our life. But yet, many people, we do the same things every single day. And those same things might surmount to something in life, but there are more people in the world that die unfulfilled because they were afraid to take action, or they did not have the tools necessary to help them along the way to change their mindset and to help them become higher performers. Yes, of course, you can get a coach. They can help you along the way. They can push you. They can challenge you. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, if I was by myself, would you be able to do what was necessary to succeed? Because you might learn the habits and you might become a person that's adamant, truly adamant about your success. But it doesn't necessarily mean when it counts, you're going to show up. Because they say true character is not when everyone's looking at you. It's when you're by yourself and you have to figure out, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? And I separate these people by people who want it or people who kind of want it. It's easy to want it when everyone's around you, when everyone's cheering for you, when you have all of this support, but it becomes more challenging when you're by yourself, when no one is looking, when no one's paying attention. Are you? And this is what we need. We need to begin to pay more attention in our life. We need to focus on the small moments, and then we can focus on the bigger moments, because small things add up to the big things. Think of a snowball. It can become a huge snowman, or it can become a huge snowball if you roll it. If you keep rolling it, right? It keeps adding up. It accumulates. Our life can be similar to that. We start with something small, and every single day we start adding to it little by little. Maybe it be we focus on our breath. Maybe it be we challenge ourselves. Maybe it be we get in better physical shape. Maybe it be we do more cold calls. Maybe it be we start to get more clients. Maybe it be we start to change our community. Maybe it be we begin to change the world. Now, you can want to change the world, but if you don't have the habits to do that, you can't even change your world. So we're at a stopgap and we have to make some choices. And that choice is going to be, what are you going to do today? And we make it very easy for you here in Coaching in Session. We have wonderful coaches come on. We talk about their work and how they can help you, how they help the world, what we do here at Reven Concepts, because I am just a resource for you to utilize and to gain all the missing tools and all the knowledges and wisdoms that you need in order to propel your life to something better. And the coaches that come on share the same aspect, because in a sense, coaches especially, they have gone through it. They're not perfect. They have moments where they can say, that could be better. I can work on this. When you continually work on yourself, you begin to see the process. And the process is, it might not be all that easy, but then we continue to make changes. We continue to grow. And then we help people along the way because we have already walked that path. And when you have walked the path of struggle, finding fulfillment, finding meaning, living in the moment, there are so many aspects to coaching. We want to share it to the world. And this is the power of community. This is the power of unity. Because now we can say, I'm going to take the skills and the knowledges that I know and have learned and have lived and start to share it with people so they can start to get into that mindset too. So they can be in a better place than I was when I was this age. I love helping 18, 19-year-olds with this aspect because I can help them be an amazing individual by 24, 25. And it has taken me until my late 20s, 28 to 32, to figure things out. It's not rocket science, but it is a science behind the aspect of personal development and self-help. You get to choose what your life can be. It can be great or it can be mundane. Which one will you choose at the end of the day? Choose performance. Choose a life that can be great, if not magnificent. It all begins with you and what you know. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com, and I will see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.